This is Math 91, Chapter 2.1, Evaluating Variable Expressions. There are expressions with variables and numbers. So in this case, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 terms. Okay, terms means terms are separated by addition or subtractions. So there are 5 terms, and some terms have variables like x squared, y, xy, x, like this. And 7, in this case negative 7 or minus 7, is just a number. So just a number is called constant term. A constant term. And if a term contains a variable, then we call it variable terms. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 variable terms and 1 constant term. And there is a subtraction like minus 5y, this is plus, and the minus x, minus 7, like this. Then you can change this minus to plus. Is if the expression on the right side is 3x squared minus 5y becomes plus and then negative 5y. So you can either write like this. So change the minus into plus, then the add-in, the term will be a negative number like this. So from here it's easier to verify for the coefficients of variables. So the first one is 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 terms contains variables. So we call these 4 terms are variable, variable terms. The variable terms. And then the numbers followed by the variables is called the coefficients. So for the first term, the coefficient is 3, and the variable part is x squared. And for the second term, the coefficient is negative 5, and the variable part is y. And third term, also the same. And the last term has no variable, that is called just a constant term, right? So even if it's a constant, then there's only a coefficient, negative 7. So negative 7 is also a coefficient. Alright, so let's try example 1. Here's an expression. There are 3 terms, 2a squared and negative 5a and 7. So from here, the variable term is what? It's the term that contains variables. So the variable terms will be 2a squared and negative 5a. Okay, the second variable term is negative 5a because you can separate this with plus and then negative 5a. Okay, the constant term is the number itself, so it's going to be 7. Okay, next example is evaluating an expression. Evaluate. Okay, there's an expression ab minus b squared, ab plus and negative b squared. So when you evaluate this, we have to substitute the values for the values 2 and negative 3, which is given for the variables a and b. So when we evaluate the expression, that means replace the variables with their values, and then what? Simplify the numerical expression. So what we do is just replace a and b with its values. So a is 2, so why don't we write 2 and then put parentheses. So 2 means a. So ab means a times b, and b is negative 3. So put negative 3, but make sure you gotta put the parentheses as well, so that we know that there are 2 numbers multiplied. If you don't put parentheses like this, it looks like negative, minus subtraction. So actually what we are doing is we are multiplying 2 numbers, so protect these numbers with the parentheses. Okay, then minus b squared. B is the base, so the base is negative 3 squared. Don't write like this because we have to protect the numbers. So we have to make sure the base is negative 3. So put negative 3 around the base and then squared. This is the important job. So put parentheses. So when you replace the variables, always put parentheses. Okay, always put parentheses. So it is much more safe. Okay, put parentheses. Okay, so this is equal to now 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Then minus negative 3 squared means negative 3 is multiplied twice. So it will be positive 9, right? Negative 3 is multiplied twice. So negative 6 minus, and negative positive, so positive 9. Then negative 6 minus negative 9 is, minus 9 is negative 15. So let's try the next example. Okay, the expression is a quotient. It doesn't matter. If it's a quotient, then make sure that the denominator cannot be equal to 0. So just plug in these 3 and negative 4 for A and B. So A is 3. So 3 squared minus B squared. B is negative 4. So make sure to put parentheses, especially if the number is negative number. Then A minus, okay, so A is 3 minus B. B is negative 4. If the number is positive, then actually you don't need to put parentheses because we know it is so it's easier to recognize. But if it's negative number, then put parentheses. So this is equal to 3 squared is 9 minus negative 4 squared is negative 4 multiplied by another negative 4, so 16 over 3. Okay, now minus negative, this is the opposite of this negative 4, so it will be positive 4. Then the numerator is 17 and 7 over 7. The numerator is negative 7 over the denominator is 7. So this is equal to negative 1. Okay. Here is a note. So when you, if the denominator, something like a denominator becomes 0, then this is undefined. Undefined, so we cannot actually find the value of this fraction. And if the numerator is 0, then this is 0. Keep in mind that there are two differences between zeros. Okay? If the 0 is in the denominator, it's undefined. Why is it undefined? Can you find this value, this fraction? Actually, you can divide this 3 by 0. Then 0 times what? 0 times what is 3? Can you find any number so that 0 times something is 3? Actually, no, right? No. So we don't know. We cannot find this value because 0 times something is always 0. So it cannot be a 3. So we can't find the value, so that it's undefined. How about this one? Why this one is 0? You divide this. 0, divide 0 by 3. Then what should be this one? 3 times what is 0? Of course 0, right? 0. 3 times 0 is 0. So the answer is 0. So if the numerator is 0, then the result is always 0. If the denominator is 0, then the result is undefined. Don't forget this. Okay, this example has three variables, x, y, z. So when we evaluate this expression, just replace the variables with their values. So x squared, x is 2 squared, 2 squared. Do we need to put parentheses for this positive number 2? It doesn't matter because the number is positive, then actually it doesn't matter. But if it's negative, always put the parentheses. 3 times and parentheses x. X is 2. 2 minus y. Y is negative 1. So negative 1 is a negative number. So put parentheses. And then minus z squared. Z is 3 squared. Okay, so this is equal to 2 squared is 4, the minus 3. The parenthesis is what? 2 minus, negative is positive. And minus 3 squared. Alright, so in this case the base is 3, not negative 3. The base is what? 3, so this is 9. Okay, this is different. Let me double check over here. Okay, 3 squared means 9. And negative 3 parenthesis squared means negative 3 is multiplied twice, so that is going to be positive 9. How about this? Negative 3 squared. In this case, the base is 3, not negative 3, because there's no parenthesis around the base. So negative is outside the exponential form. So this is equivalent to multiplying 3 twice. So negative 9. So negative is outside. Okay, negative is outside the exponential form. So 3 cubed, this is negative times 3 cubed. So 3 times 3. Okay, 3 times 3. So be careful with this one. So let's go back to the evaluation. So this is equal to 4 minus 3 times 2 plus 1 is 3 minus 9. Then 4 minus 3 times 3 is 9 minus 9. So this is equal to negative 14. Okay. So 4 minus 5 is negative 5 minus 9 equals negative 14. Example 5 is about finding the volume of a cylinder. So the base has diameter 5 and the height of the cylinder is 8.5 centimeters. Then the formula for the volume is pi r squared times h. Okay, pi r squared is the area of the cylinder, the bottom of the cylinder, area of the bottom of the cylinder, and height is also in centimeters. Alright, so the volume can be written as pi r squared h, and then the radius is the half the diameter. Since the diameter is 5 centimeters, so you divide this 5 by 2. So 2.5 centimeters is the length of the radius, and the height is given. Height is 8.5. So this is equal to, just what we do is just evaluate this volume, because we already know the values of radius and r. Radius r and the height h. So pi times r is 2.5 squared times h. H is 8.5. And then 2.5 squared is about, use the calculator, or you can multiply manually, then it's going to be 6.25 multiplied by 8.5. So by using a calculator, and pi is 3.14. Pi is 3.14. Why don't, okay, 3.14 times 6.25, 8.5. Then using a little calculator, it will give you approximately equal to 166.9. Volume is always cubed, so cubic centimeters. That's the volume. So what you have to do is find the volume, find the volume formula, and then replace all the variables with its values. Simple. So the volume of a cylinder is what? Area of the bottom, which is circle. Area of circle is pi r squared times h.